Hello and welcome to my review of Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm Born from Born Rage Gaming, and this review is based off of completing the entire campaign and some post-game content as well, so many viewers may not realize this, but Monster Hunter truly gets better once the end credits roll. So stick around as I'll be breaking down my review into three sections: gameplay and performance, music and art direction, and campaign and characters. So let's get started by talking about the gameplay and performance by mentioning that I played the game on my PS5 in performance mode and I almost had no issues with performance whatsoever. The game looked absolutely incredible, but the only quote-unquote issue that I had was occasional stuttering when the game transitioned from a cutscene to actual gameplay. And it was only when we were exploring a new area. I experienced no bugs or frame rate drops during any of my hunts, including during late game hunts where many monsters were larger or acquired more effects due to the cinematic nature of their hunts. Now talking about gameplay, I give it a perfect score. It's an easy 5 out of 5 for me, as each weapon was made drastically better by the new mechanics or tweaks the developers made from World to Rise and Rise to Wilds. The addition of the focus button is huge. One of the main reasons I am late to the Monster Hunter universe is because I felt like I never had full control over my character while attacking. I tried playing Monster Hunter World but stopped very early because it felt off since I couldn't control my weapon nearly as well as I wanted to. In Monster Hunter Rise, I fell in love with the Insect Glaive's mobility, which slightly hid the lack of control as I played through roughly 50 hours of the game. Wilds has essentially given me what I wanted with the addition of the focus mode. While in focus mode, I can fully move my character and attack with lethal precision required of a true hunter. In focus mode, you can freely aim your strike to land wherever the monster moves without stopping your combos. This led me to fall in love with two weapons that I didn't like in past games because I would often miss when trying to attack in long combos, or I would never pull off a combo because I couldn't change directions to land my blows. Now using the longsword and greatsword feel incredible, and it does with all weapons too. Several weapons got many other updates like new moves or buffs, which leads hunters to feel even more powerful. I also thought that the tutorial for beginning players was much better in this game than in previous games, as I even learned a few things that I didn't know from previous titles. The developers also did a great job matching the early game monsters to the beginning level audience. While monsters in rank 1 through 3 were very easy, the difficulty spike was gradual as several monsters taught you about positioning, targeting weak points, damage types, resistances, and so much more. The developers did a great job for preparing for the true game, which is the post-game content. For those who don't know, post-game is where the hunter's true test lies as you hunt incredibly difficult monsters and craft new and powerful gear with unique skills that allow you to create a powerful build that suits your playstyle. So if I were to end the review here, I would give this game a perfect 5 out of 5 because it is incredible and a true masterpiece, but we have more to discuss. The world of Monster Hunter Wilds is excellent. Each biome felt truly alive. I have listened and read many people criticizing Wilds for its looks, as many people believe Monster Hunter World looks better. I respectfully have to disagree, as the world of Monster Hunter Wilds is alive. The weather system played a huge role in the game's art direction for me. So while you may not have a huge interconnected levels like in Monster Hunter World, you still have massive environments that change from a calm and peaceful landscape to at times a seemingly cataclysmic event. Each type of weather would not only change the appearance of the world, but it would also play a role in how the monsters would act, which is something I truly love and respect the game developers for adding to their game. It makes each hunt feel truly unique, as some hunts begin in beautiful weather with no surprises, then wham! You're in a sandstorm with lightning all around you that can not only hurt you, but it can also hurt the monster you are hunting. There were several hunts that were more stressful due to the weather adding some form of challenge to the hunt. And why I'm throwing this in art direction instead of gameplay is because regardless of how the gameplay changed due to the weather, it looked absolutely amazing even on performance mode. One of the other factors that made me truly love this game was the sound design. Several monsters have very good soundtracks which made hunts feel more intense and memorable. Along with that, when we had several moments to bond with characters, the music played a crucial role in their character development. Sound effects were awesome, Each weapon, monster, attack, weather transition, you name it, anything in the game was absolutely spot on, and it made each moment better. So music and art direction also receive a 5 out of 5 from me. The story in Monster Hunter usually takes a back seat as they primarily focus on gameplay, which is something I definitely appreciate, but in this game's case, the story is an enjoyable experience overall, but it definitely has its flaws. I won't share any major spoilers, but the idea of finding a boy who belongs to an isolated tribe of people called the Keepers, who were attacked by a monster that was thought to be extinct, made me very excited to hear what the story has to offer. The main plot points of the story were well executed as I grew closer to the core group of characters, but I found myself questioning many things that developers overlooked or just didn't answer. Honestly, it seemed like there were key parts of the story that were not answered or just left to interpretation. To give you an example of what I mean, Nata, the boy we rescued, supposedly journeyed from a massive underground tunnel past several tribes, including one he would have had to run right into before leaving the tunnels and caves. And the game said nothing about how he actually got out of the tunnels other than he got lost and ended up on the border of a forest and a desert. When we retrace his steps, at times he would say things like, "I remember being lost here," but wouldn't clarify where he came from or how he got here, seemingly while going down one long hallway which leads to a village that apparently he didn't go through. You would think that being in this place again, he would be able to share things about where he chose to go or why he went a certain direction. Another example of what I'm talking about is when we eventually get to the Keepers, they bring up the fact that they got their name from keeping information about an ancient society, yet they have very little information, or any information for that matter, to go off of about what they did or how they were destroyed. Oh, and this conversation takes place in a library with hundreds of books that seemingly did not get read in hundreds of years. So it seems like in that particular situation, somebody could have opened a book to find the answers, but they didn't because the writers didn't want to come up with anything better than the information was lost or forgotten. Again, we do eventually get answers, but it seems they chose a very convoluted way to give it to us instead of just keeping it simple. And for someone like me, this was something I did get irritated with, as how they chose to share this information was in one of two ways. One being a relatively short cinematic cutscene where new lore and questions were discussed and often answered, and the other way being a short cinematic cutscene, then we start transversing the land. You might be thinking, this isn't a bad thing as it helps to make the world feel alive. And you'd be right, if it weren't for the fact that it was done on the back of your Sacred with quote-unquote auto-run active, who is walking slower than your hunter does on his own 2 feet. One of those walks lasted a ridiculous 18 minutes. This 18-minute walk at a snail's pace made me feel incredibly frustrated as it derailed me from enjoying the game after 2 incredible hunts back to back that closed a couple major plot points and opened up a couple more. I felt like I was making significant progress and then I just suddenly hit a wall. But after 18 minutes of not touching a single button on that controller because the game was playing itself, I legitimately had to stop playing for roughly an hour because all I wanted to do was hunt monsters, but the game unfortunately wouldn't let me. Aside from the story, the characters are good. The core of the characters, Nata, Alma, Gemma, and your character, the hunter, do grow as the story evolves. Sometimes the writing made me shake my head as our characters would say things that seemed to contradict themselves or kinda stupid. But overall, I grew to love each character. But outside of those 4, not many characters seemed good or alive. Most seemed like shells unless they served a major plot point. The voice acting for every actor nonetheless was done very well as lines were often delivered in a way that fit the mood of the current situation. But in some areas, they threw me off because there were long pauses between when they were speaking. Oftentimes, the camera angle would change or move to a new character, and there would be moments of silence that were just really awkward and made it seem like I was listening to robots talk instead of living, breathing humans. For example, one character named Werner, who I called Wiener because he acted like one, rarely seemed like he was human at all. Oftentimes he would speak and act like he was a robot because it required too much energy. Other characters I felt didn't need to be added were the most annoying characters I have seen in a very long time, called the Tribe of Wudwuds. They are wannabe Ewoks that in my eyes don't do anything for the game other than waste players' time. Now, it may seem like I didn't enjoy the story of this game, which is incorrect. The main characters had several moments of growth that made me recognize their flaws and decisions they made that allowed me to share in their emotional tolls, tough decisions they made, and bond with them on this journey. All in all, I'll give the story a 4 out of 5. I wanted to go lower, but the main characters were written way too well to lower it any lower than that. However, you take any of those characters out, and it's an easy 2 out of 5 because the rest of the story is lacking a lot of weight and growth based off of the examples I provided earlier. My final thoughts on this game is that it has the making to be a contender for Game of the Year due to a masterclass of gameplay, incredible sound design, and art direction, which made the world feel truly alive, along with a very solid cast of characters that anchor a plot hole written story through a ton of character development and bonding through different moments like hunts, meetings, and dinners around the campfire. If you've been doing some math, my final score for Monster Hunter Wilds is a 14 out of 15, which simplifies down to a 4.5 out of 5. I normally don't do decimal placements in my reviews, but this game is too good to justify lowering it any further. But the flaws it does have are just as present as the things that make it great. Do you agree with my thoughts and opinions about the game? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more Monster Hunter Wilds content, as I have a full playthrough available to watch on my channel, and I will be live streaming this game throughout the coming weeks on Twitch. I will also be adding weapon videos and build videos in the next coming weeks as well. Have a great day everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.